Welcome, everybody, to Tammy Tuesday, the podcast of life, love, and purpose. I am so happy you're here today, and I can't wait to share my guest with you. She is a dear friend, an amazing woman, and Dena Patton. She is a mindset and business coach. She is an absolute phenom, and I cherish her so much. Dena, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. I've been wanting to have you on here for a long time, so this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Good. We have been, I love our relationship.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun. Well, we met through, and so many people that I have here and that are just friends of mine, I meet through mutual friends, and I can thank Lindsay Cullum for that. Lindsay Caldwell, she is the one that connected the two of us. And then you became, obviously, an enormous impact on coaching for me and my business, grew my business, sold my business, and you were there with me the entire time. And not just that, but just in my whole personal growth and my journey, my spiritual journey, you've really been there. And you're also my fellow Capricorn sister. We have so much in common, which is what's funny. We both operate, I feel like, and work in many similar ways.
Similar.
We're very, very orange color.
Yes.
We're go-getters. We like to have fun. We're very determined, passionate.
But go-givers, too.
Very big givers,
I love the combination of a go-getter and a go-giver.
Yes. Well, you know what? Okay, perfect example. Your birthday party, which you just had. Who gives out awards to other people at their birthday parties? I mean, seriously.
I do.
That was the sweetest thing.
It was like cheesy awards, though. It was fun.
No, but it was very sweet and very thoughtful. I was totally flabbergasted when you called me up there. But it was really fun. Sweet and thoughtful. That's just who you are. You have such a huge heart, and I really cherish you. So thank you again for being here. I can't wait to dive into a conversation and let this roll. So in your background, Dena, because you have quite a story. I mean, you've lived a lot of life. You've had a lot of experience in a lot of things.
Yes.
And it's led you to the path that you're on, which you are crushing in the best way. And I just want to give our listeners an idea of how that started for you, because, I mean, you've had health issues in the past. You've had kind of awakenings, if you will, that have kind of chartered your path and put you in different places. What does that history look like? Just a kind of a snippet of that for you.
Oh, gosh. I wish I could get my life story down to about a minute and a half. It would be great. But, I followed a dream at 21 to move to New York City. And that was really my first conscious big move in my life that just I stood for myself and I got out of my own fear and way and just said, I've always wanted to live in New York, and I did, and bought a ticket. And
where were you before that?
Phoenix, born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. And, my mom was like, you'll be back in 3 months, and I was like, no, I won't. But it was an adventure that I had to go on. And sometimes we have to get away from certain people or family or our own city to grow. And for me, those 9 years in New York City, where I grew up. I had a lot of failure and I had a lot of success, both personally and professionally. But went there at 21, started my own business at 24. I've never worked for someone since, and started my own PR and marketing agency there. And then I think, as you know, had a stroke at 28, and that just derailed me mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, and those things that put you on your knees. And you either get bitter and you start going to a very dark place, and or you get better. And it was really my opportunity to get better. And that was the beginning of a whole new life for me, spiritually, mentally. First time I hired my first coach that just said, oh, girl, you need some self-care, you need some boundaries, you need some structure. Like, I was just winging life.
Well, and don't you feel, we've talked about this, that stroke was a humongous wake-up call.
Yeah.
It manifested in your body as like, hey, girl, this is not working.
Not right.
No.
Yeah. It was, I call it my blessed interruption.
Yeah.
Because it just interrupted me on all the levels, not just physically, but, you're 28 alone in New York City, and thank God I had insurance because it didn't devastate me financially, which a lot of young people don't have insurance. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a whole nother conversation. But I'm like, thank God, you know, but it was my moment that it was me and God got real straight with each other and just said, what the heck is going on? And,
What happened in that time? What was going on?
well, what was going on was I was not using my gifts. I was in total survival mode, which is what I was trying to move away from, right, in Phoenix. But I didn't have the right tools at the time. You know, we're always learning. For me, I'm always a student first. And I really learned that I moved a city, right? I moved cities.
That's a huge move.
Huge move. And I had some success and some, you know, all the things. But mentally and emotionally, I didn't get out of survival mode, and which was most of my childhood and young life was in survival mode, which a lot of people are. But if you don't interrupt those patterns and those habits and get yourself into use tools and resources to start to build a life consciously and purposefully and with your gifts and intentionally, you stay in survival mode.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing. So my choice making was off. I was in a lot of fear. Survival will keep you in fear. So a lot of your choices are fear-based.
Yep.
And so what I mean by that in business, yes, I had my own PR and marketing agency, but I was leading it from fear.
Yeah.
So all my choices were fear-based. And what I mean, like, I was so scared to say no to someone. If someone was going to pay me, I was going to work for them, right? So I said yes to everybody, which is the worst thing you can do as a small business owner.
Oh, yeah.
Say yes to everybody.
Well, it's the worst thing you can do as a person.
Right. No filter, no boundaries, no standards.
Right, yeah.
You should have a very select yes bucket. And if you don't have a yes bucket, then everybody becomes a yes. And it's just a very dangerous way of thinking and leading your business.
Well,
And
it's
I
a
said
people
yes to
pleasing.
everybody.
It's a
Yeah.
people pleasing mode.
Yeah.
Everybody but yourself.
Right. You put everybody in front of yourself. But it was also fear-based because I never knew that there was going to be a client behind them. And, you know, when you operate in scarcity and fear, instead of saying, this client is not a fit for me, I'm going to say no to them. I'm going to refer them out to someone else. And I'm going to trust that another client that's going to be a fit for me is behind them. You've got to have a lot of trust in you, the universe, your God, you know, whatever you want to say, in just business, that there's another client behind that. Because otherwise, you're just constantly taking clients or dates, you know, or friendships that are not aligned to you.
No.
So that's the pattern that I was in. I did not have self-care. Was not sleeping and eating like an entrepreneur should. That's the fuel of their business. Did not have a lot of structure and schedules around my business. I was just winging it and working 15 hours a day. So over the year of my recovery of my stroke, I had to learn how to speak again and really learn how to manage myself differently from a place of love, from a place of standards, from a place of leadership and greatness. And really one of the biggest things that I heard spiritually was you're not using your gifts in a way that I should be.
So you were receiving messages saying,
was totally receiving
you were open.
messages.
You were opened up.
Yeah, it was like God just said, let me just stop your life and redirect you. And it was a year of listening, of listening to myself, my heart, my God, my gifts, and just do a whole redirect of the whole entire train.
Yeah.
So sold that business. I was very blessed to be able to sell that business.
Was that clear at that time? It was like, that's what's coming next?
No.
Or was there resistance?
No. What I thought, because, you know, I was still young and I had no idea I even could sell a business. I just thought I'm going to close this business, start another business.
Okay.
And it was, in my opinion, it was just a a move of God that he's like, I'm going to give you 2 guys that are going to buy this business. Not only that, but pay you a lot of money to consult them in the new business so you can recover. I mean, there was no other explanation than God in that situation.
It's amazing.
I didn't have enough knowledge in business back then to
that
generate
to happen.
that, right? Or network in that. And back then, I wasn't in my first business, I wasn't part of any networking groups. I mean, we're talking about the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know if there were networking groups. Like, I wasn't networked like I am today,
right.
you know, where I could spread the word about that. So, knock on the door. Actually, I'll tell you the words that they said to me. They knocked on the door and they said, listen, there's this thing coming. It's called the internet. And it's going to put your business out of business. And we want to buy your business and turn it into a global website. And I said, me and my 3 employees go or no deal. And in that moment, I just created a new future. And I consulted them in that year, and I was able to recover and then restart my entire life and start the business that I have today.
That is so amazing. Well, the thing that's so cool about it, and this happens for so many people, whether it's in business or in your personal life, whatever, wherever it is, or all of it, we have these things that we manifest, which happen in our bodies that kind of say,
yes, stop
hold
the
up,
train.
hold up there.
Yes.
We need to regroup here. We're not on the right track.
Yes.
And the fact that you recognize that and were able to open yourself up to listen and to receive
Yes.
divine messages and accept that they were that and that you were not in control of that. They were happening because you were ready to receive them. And really, it's all about us being ready.
Yes.
And so many times we block ourselves from being ready and allowing those things to come to us. And that's such a powerful thing because it changes your life, because it's so much better than you think what you have planned.
Right.
Your plan is never as good. And it's almost always completely different than what you thought.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, when you surrender to it, like you said, you kind of just go, okay, here we go.
Yes.
And you just hopped on for the ride and let it happen. And then you realize, no, I can call the shots now. And it's all because you poured into you.
Yeah.
You said, this is what I need for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it this way anymore. I'm not going to be the yes person that says yes to everyone. I'm not going to just do things out of desperation or fear.
Yeah.
Because you know that that's not serving you. In fact, it puts you completely in the wrong direction, and it puts you at a standstill in your life.
Right.
So the fact that you were able to recognize that is extremely powerful. Yeah. And the thing that I love about what you do with people in businesses, because you work with, all sizes of businesses, enormous businesses and small businesses, and you're all about mindset. And I remember there were instances so many times when you and I were working together when I was in my previous business with my magazines, and I would say, like, even just my language, you would say, wait a minute, I'm just going to stop you right there. What did you say? Do not say that. You're like, that is not true. And it was all about my mindset and saying, no, you are what you are, and what you are is amazing, and you do have all the power, and you can do this, and you will do this because you are.
Right.
So the fact that you coach people in that way is so powerful, because it makes all the difference in success.
Right.
It just makes all the difference. All of a sudden you see it's like a perspective shift.
Right. Absolutely. Well, results, I can meet someone for 5 minutes, listen to what results they have in their life right now, and I can tell you where their mindset is, because everything is mindset first, right? If you're broke, financially broke, your mindset is in scarcity, right? So it's just that people don't understand. It's a simple formula. You want to change your results, you got to change your mindset first.
Yeah.
And when I learned that, this next week is my 24th anniversary of coaching.
Oh
24
my gosh.
years. But the first 10 years was straight business coaching. And what I just, when you have that intuition, you're like, what? There's something missing. And what I realized, I had to stop my own mindset, and I had to think about, let me study really successful people. And for about 4 years, I I literally did as much research and listening and studying of successful, and I mean from business to athletes, everybody in between. And I thought, I had to figure out what's the difference, because it's never what we think, like family or money or these extra, they have 3 degrees or whatever. I mean, you can look at
they're not
billionaires
yeah.
that didn't have any money and they were adopted, or this billionaire who was broke and homeless and built, so it's not that. It's mindset. It's what they think of. And that's the difference between what I call a greatness mindset and a smallness mindset. Smallness mindset is fear-based, scarcity-based, and doubt-based, right? And that can only get you so far.
Yeah.
When you think from the place of doubt or fear or scarcity, it can only take you so far. So when you start to think from your greatness, which we are all born with, but you have to train yourself to go there, right? And think, speak, act from your greatness. And then what's happening is you're producing greatness results. And that's why I can hear, and once you know what I'm talking about, you're going to hear it all the time. What I call is smallness. Smallness comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
So from clients, when I hear smallness coming out of a client's mouth,
you call it
I'm
out.
like, whoop. We're going to zip that up right there, right? Because how you speak is how you think, right? And so think, speak, act, and then results. So yeah, anytime I hear someone that it's just that smallness, that fear, that scarcity, or unalignment comes out of their mouth, I know that's how they're thinking. And we don't want you to go down that road.
No.
Right?
Well, it's funny because when I hear you use the words you're using for mindset, greatness, to me, that's the mind and heart connection.
Right.
Your greatness comes from here.
Yes, right.
And when you connect your greatness, which is all you are, is this beautiful light, and a gift, and this glorious being. And when you connect that with your mindset, and all of a sudden it puts you on a whole nother trajectory of change. And it puts you where you're meant to be, which is being who you are, because you know how great you are, because we are all these beautiful, perfect beings.
Right.
And whatever it is that we're doing at any given time is who we are.
Yeah.
So I always say that, because I always say, people say, oh, well, am I working in my passion? And, what is my purpose? And really your purpose is to be you and to be living in your greatness and shift your perspective into how amazing you are and the gifts that you bring to the world and your tools. It's funny, on the last podcast, actually it'll be one after this one, we talked about tools in your toolbox.
Yes.
And you're constantly loading more tools into your toolbox. And sometimes you throw different tools out that you don't need anymore because things evolve, things are changing, right? But it's the greatness mindset, which is really coming from within. You always say alignment. It's your alignment, and that's your alignment with Source, God, Creator, whatever you want to call it. It's your connection to your divine self, so you can actually act.
Be it,
and that's what makes you do that. So that's who you are. That's what you are.
Right.
That is your purpose. Is being just that.
Right. But people get it. This whole thing that we're talking about is so simple. It's being your greatest self in your purpose is to be your best, greatest self in the world, and finding delivery platforms for that. One of your delivery platforms is this podcast, right? Your delivery platform might be your family, it might be a business, but to me, when we are born with our smallness mindset and our greatness mindset. Our greatness mindset is based in love. And the job of our greatness mindset is to help us become our greatest, highest self. And then the smallness is the total opposite. It is fear-based, get in the box, and it is all about a house of survival.
Well, and it's ego-based.
Ego. And this, when we're living in smallness, it's all that inauthenticity. I have to be this and I have to be that. And that's where all the societal messages of like, you have to be this size or this beautiful or this status. And it's, as long as you're playing that game, you're winning that game, because we're always winning the game we're playing. It's that conscious shift that goes, I'm sick of that game. I've been playing that game for a long time.
Right.
I want to play the greatness game of my highest, most powerful, most aligned, most authentic gift, purpose-driven self, and get that out in the world. When I look at people like, let's call it like Oprah, who is so unapologetic about her gifts. When you look at someone like Martha, or Martha, what is her name? Martha
Martha Stewart?
Martha Stewart, thank you. Martha Stewart or Oprah, both of these women found their gifts very early. And then, you know what they did ever since? They've created all these delivery platforms for their gifts to be out in the world. That is what they have done very well. We could list 100 other people that have done that. They're not recreating anything or creating anything outside of themselves. They're like, ooh, I found my most authentic, powerful, gifted self. And then they create all these different delivery platforms to get that out in the world. And look at what it does. It makes, by just default, it makes them a lot of money. But that wasn't even the point. Their point was get this out in the world, and the beautiful circle back is we make money from it.
Right. Well, the thing that's so fascinating about it is that we truly are creators ourselves, because we are a piece of our creator.
Yeah.
So we're here to create an experience. And when we are in our true greatness, living from love and what's inside of us, that we don't need anything outside of us. Whatever it is that's inside of us, it naturally creates exactly what it is that's intended for the world. And it's blown my mind too. And I remember, so I think you were part of the movement when I started Tammy Tuesday. When I chose Tammy Tuesday, when it wasn't this. When it was just a day of the week. And I remember I was like, I'm claiming it. I'm taking a day, and it's going to be my day. And you're like, oh, you go, girl. You were like number one cheerleader, right? Because it was, my whole crown is tingling. Because you were like, you saw me recognizing, okay, Tammy, it's time to give yourself some time. You need to respect and love who you are and stop it with all this. And that shifted everything. I mean, it completely changed everything, how I saw everything. And the thing that's interesting too is when you have friends in your life that can recognize those things, because we constantly need reminders, because we're constantly hit with adversities and challenges and things that come up, and our smallness will boil up, and we're like, okay, go back down. It's okay. I hear you. I see you. I acknowledge you, but that's not necessary. And it's so nice when you can have people in your life. And this is one of the gifts that I cherish you for, is that you are one of those people in my life that always says, you speak from this language, you speak from this place of understanding, and it's just a beautiful reminder. I mean, everybody now in my circle is the same that way, because we manifest who's in our lives, right? I mean, we're creators. Wherever it is that we're vibing, wherever we're vibrating at a frequency of love, that's what we're bringing in.
Well, and when you start pouring into yourself and loving yourself, that frequency is so bright. And what just naturally happens is people who are fear-based or don't like that or threatened by that, they just tend to start leaving your life because it's intimidating. When people are bright and you're full of love and purpose and energy, creativity, it attracts, right? That world of repel and attracts. It will repel people who don't like that. They're like, they're intimidated by it, or they don't like it, or they can't vibe on it. They leave your life. And the people who love it and want to cheerlead it and encourage it or inspired by it, they're like, ooh, I want more of that, right? And that's that. When you live this, when you start to shift your life to this alignment of love and purpose and gifts, you beget more of it, and then you attract more of it, and then all of a sudden your circle of friends and your clients and your everybody, it's like, whoa, everyone's in the same game.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it feels, and then when you meet with someone that's not, it feels so,
You
how
can feel
wild.
it.
Yes.
I'm getting goosebumps. You can completely, it's like,
Yes.
whoa, it's like a disruption.
Yes.
It's like, oh,
Whoa.
whoa. And you don't even have to do anything.
Right.
It just presents itself and you know it. You feel
Yeah.
it. They feel it. You feel it. It's like a thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's like when magnets repel
Yes.
and when magnets
Yes.
come together, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like when Eric and I were talking about this, when we came to your party, your recent birthday party where you gave out awards for your friends, which I love. We were talking about how that room felt. And speaking to your magnetism of people that are in your circle. And I always know that if it's anything that involves Dena Patton, that the people that are there are gold. And I mean in every way. I don't mean it has nothing to do with business or how successful they are. It's their heart. It's who they are. It's how they love. It's how accepting and open they are. Yeah. So walking around your party, Eric and I were just, neither one of us were surprised,
right?
But we were just in awe. It was just like, of course, these are the people that are here. And it's just a beautiful thing. And it really just expresses your point even more, that when you're living from that place, you have amazing people around you, and that want to be around you and that gravitate to you, and they're part of your circle. And then you become this beautiful dynamic where you can help and share and grow together and encourage each other. And people that are not encouraging you are not intended for you.
Right.
And if they are intimidated or they're threatened, like you said, they're not for you.
Right. And it's okay. You know, I have this little saying, bless and release. Mm-hmm. And that goes to people, clients, friends, whoever, who don't support you, whether it's emotionally or spiritually or business-wise or whatever. You know, it's okay to bless and release people out of your life. And I never want to, you know, cut someone off and wish them harm. It's not about that. It's just that it's okay to just bless and release people out of your life, and not even in a cutthroat kind of way.
No, it happens naturally.
It just happens naturally,
you
know, and it is you know, it's a part of adulting. I was talking to my teen daughter about that, where, you know, you're going to have people that come in and out of your life, and depends on where you are in your own life. But there's people that are going to stick and they're going to be with you for a long, long time. And there's people who, you know, come in and out. And then there's people who you just naturally want out. And it's okay just to bless and release them out of your life. Mm-hmm. And not everybody has to be your best friend.
Right.
Not everybody has to be your client. Not everybody has to be in your network. And for me, I love the word curated. And I am curating my life. I am curating my friendships. I am creating, you know, that birthday party was very, very small. You know, I tend to have really huge birthday parties with 150 people. And then I have very, very curated small birthday parties with my favorite 25 people. And both of them are fun. I love the big ones and I love the little ones. But I want to curate a life that has, I call them the 3 Gs. I want greatness, gifts, and God. Those are my 3 Gs that I am purposefully curating my life with. I know for me, they're on my tool belt. And when I go through my day and I purposefully am in my gifts, in my God, and in my greatness, I have an amazing day.
Right.
When I'm listening to that smallness or that fear, or I'm struggling, you know, in everything else but that, I struggle. Mm-hmm. And we're human. We're going to struggle.
We have those.
But it's my reset. You know, in my morning prayer, you know, time where I set my day mentally and emotionally, that's my part of my routine is my 3 Gs. And
I love that.
They can't be taken away from you. There's a lot of things that can, from houses to marriages to cars, you know, businesses can be all taken away from you. Those 3 things can't be taken away from you. And you can nurture them and build them in your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so I want to talk about another thing that is huge in your heart, which I think comes from all of those things. and what you've created with Girls Rule. Because when I first met you, one of the things that we had very much in common was huge supporters and advocates for women. And because the world is shifting, it's not what it used to be, but women need women. And when women can be in support of each other, it's a whole nother level of camaraderie and power and strength and encouragement. And I always love that about you because you coach men and women, you don't just coach women. But with Girls Rule, I want to talk about that because that had to have clearly been a God thing where you were like, this was placed in me and it just kind of came out. And what you're doing with that is incredible. It was one of the things that I was so inspired by when you shared that with me because it's just really cool. So talk about how that came to be and what it is so people can understand what it is because I just love what you do with that.
Thank you. It's totally a God thing. And, these things that happen in our life that just, I look back 14 years ago and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been 14 years. But it...
24 and 14, you've got some big numbers coming up.
Yeah. 14 years of Girls Rule Foundation and then 24 years of coaching and training. And, it was this kind of braid that started to happen is I had, at the time that I started Girls Rule, I had gone through my own transformation, my own journey of finding my power, my purpose, putting tools on my tool belt, and had this, about 32 to 35, I was like, where have all these tools been? Like, what the heck? I mean, financial literacy tools, from that to just simple leadership tools. I mean, there was a lot of things that I learned in my early 30s that I'm like, these would have been real helpful at like 16 and 18 and 25.
Right.
But what...
You weren't ready for them.
I weren't ready for them. But I also had coached now hundreds of women in that time that said the same thing. That said, man, this distinction, this tool, this thing that you're
had
coaching,
I only known
had
this.
I only known this 5 years ago, 20 years ago. And
I'm
that's
thinking, interesting.
God, you're the 150th woman that has said this. So this note so my first note was of my own personal, like, this would have been really helpful when I was younger.
New awareness.
Awareness. And then the women that said it, kind of point two. Then I met a couple other women that in my life that said the same thing. And I said, you know what? At the time, I was on the board of a girls' charity, which was my way of like, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to get on a board of a girls' charity, right?
Yeah.
And young women. And that was my way of fixing the problem, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
And I looked around and I'm like, I'm not fixing any problem being on this board. Like, it just wasn't enough. And God was just pulling me. And I was like, what do you...
Like, you're ready, do this.
Yeah, I'm like, well, do what?
Yeah.
And I think when you get these messages, sometimes we get like agitated and frustrated because you're like, what the heck?
What is it?
What is it? What do you want me to do? Or we go into doubt.
Right.
Who am I?
Yeah. How am I supposed to do that?
I was a young, I was a young newlywed really at the time, and I had just gotten married, and just these things I was like a new level of my life, and I just thought, what do you want me to do? I am doing something. I'm on this board of this charity.
Oh,
no,
man.
No.
That's not it.
That's not it. Why don't you start your own charity and make a difference for thousands of girls and actually teach them the tools? I was like, what? Not equipped, not ready, don't have the finances, don't
doubt,
know smallness. And here's the question that I ask everybody that's listening. You are dealing with some kind of smallness that is saying, you don't know how, you're not equipped, you can't do that purpose thing that you've been drawn to. And I'm here to tell you, yes, you can.
Wow.
You have to stop listening. Turn down the smallness. What would it look like if you never heard your smallness again? Because that's the only thing that was keeping me. It was so loud, and I just believed it. But until we come out of agreement with our smallness, we will agree with it forever. We wouldn't be sitting here talking about this.
No.
We would probably, still have met and still work together. But the Girls Rule Foundation would have never, ever happened
Right.
if I just didn't turn that volume down.
I know.
I turned it down, and I said,
How did you know to turn it down?
well,
Because that takes the tools as well.
God knocked so long. It was like 2 or 3 years. And I was like, I finally called myself. Sometimes we just have to call ourselves on our own stuff.
Did you not feel, this is a question around this, did you not feel fulfilled? Was that any part of it that shifted sort of a change in how you were hearing it?
I don't know if it was fulfillment, but here's the thing. It goes back to the 3 G's. The first G is gifts. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of gifts in this area. Listen, there's a lot of gifts I don't have. Right?
You got to know.
I know my weaknesses.
Yeah.
But if you want, I have 100 skill sets that will absolutely change your life. Right. That is what what I was seeing that was missing in young women's lives.
Right.
And so he was like, you have the gifts. You have it. Teach them those. And it was this calling to my purpose because I had kind of checked off the box. I was like, I'm sitting on the board of the charity.
Right.
Check the box.
Exactly.
Of purpose, right? Of like that purpose of young women, making a difference for young women. And he's like, yeah, try again.
Right. Nope.
Like deeper, right? So I just feel like there's, when we're ready, these depths of life, we are not meant to live on the surface.
Right.
We're not meant.
Yeah.
I was living there. And he was like, deeper, deeper. So long story short, about 3 years of the knocking. And I was like, I opened the door and you go, what? What?
All right.
Okay.
Fine. I want to hear you.
And within a month of me saying, here's the thing, you guys, when we say yes to a purpose or to a calling or to something that we're being pulled to, when you say yes, here's the thing, you're not going to see the full the full staircase. All you're going to open the door and there's going to be one step,
A breadcrumb,
a step, and you're going to go, oh my God, what do I do with that? And you're going to step on that one step. And then guess what shows up? The second step. So I opened the door. That was first step. Said yes. Okay. I don't even know what I'm doing. And I took the first step, and within a month met these 3 other women that were being called to young women work. And we all kind of didn't know what it meant. And we're like, and I kind of threw out this idea of this nonprofit that did leadership empowerment work for young women. Yeah. And they were like, oh my gosh. So long story short, they were like, that's it. Let's go with that. And that became the third step. And then, I'm 500 steps later is today, So we started, with one workshop and then a second program and then a third. And that, it's 14 years. And there were massive, massive failures and struggles. And when you're running a nonprofit, it's
a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. And, you have to fundraise, not just like, the programs and measure the programs and get girls in the programs, but it's fundraising.
Yeah, you need donors and you need help. And
figuring that out. So it's one step at a time, one person at a time, one donor at a time, one girl at a time. But it's been a journey. It's been a blessing. I am a different person because of it. Thank God I later on had a girl, and
that was no accident.
Now, thank God, she ended up being my only child, and she now is aged into Girls Rule, and which is kind of cool because I've had it all these years, but she was too young, and so now she's of age. But we have made a difference for thousands and thousands of girls, 5 different programs. But all of our programs are live.
Yeah.
And COVID, I mean, the day COVID came, it shut us down, and we were shut down for 3 years. And here's, back to purpose and God and all of that. About 3 months into COVID, I just said, it's on, life support. I'm like, I'm pulling it. There's no way we can survive this. I let go of our 2 staff people, our board, everything. And I just said, this is the end. And I called a friend, and this is back to your point about surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, that are gonna,
Support you.
they're gonna support you through it. And I called a friend and I said, this is the end. There's no way we can survive this. And she said, here's the thing. Boil it all down. Take out every bill you can. Boil it down to the most minimum that you can boil it down. And this is like 4 or 5 months into COVID. I mean, I thought
so many nonprofits suffered severe and didn't survive.
And small businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, you just had to go out of business. Well, she said, just get down the bills down to a minimum that you can pay for, and keep the website, keep all your like the legal stuff, right? Keep it all legal, and just pay. And I got it down to like $400 a month.
Yeah.
And I just paid the little bills, and she's like, ride it out. And I thought, 6 months, and then I thought a year, and then once we went 2 years, I'm like, there's no way. How do you come back? And lots of prayer, and lots of just, here's the thing, unknowing. You just trust. And I don't know about you, but this has been a huge year of trust. When you sell your business and you do something new, you go through valleys. What you have to have in the valley is trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your God, trust that you will come out of it. This is a phase. And we have all been through many, many, many valleys. And I thought, you know what? If and when I come out of this, it's going to be 2.0. And
it's always better when you come out of it.
You know what? My mindset shifted. I was in a mindset of, this is dead forever. How could I come back? Just scarcity, fear. And I went, how would I coach someone in this moment? And
that must happen a lot when you're like, wait a minute. Okay, if somebody was presenting this to me,
yes.
How would I help them?
Totally.
That's a tool.
All the time. I always reverse it. I'm like, what would I say to a client right now? 'Cause I walk what I talk. I talk what I walk. I will never give anybody a piece of coaching that I'm not walking myself.
Right.
And that keeps me in integrity, which, in the coaching industry, there's so many people that are, oh my gosh, out of integrity, do not walk what they preach. And I said to myself a very long time ago, if I speak on a lot of stages or coach or train or podcast, if I'm saying it, I'm walking it. And but I am human. I'll get in a smallness moment, but I catch myself. Before this work, that smallness moment
could take you over.
Take me over, take us over. And it would be months.
Right.
Or a year or whatever it is, Now those smallness moments last minute.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yep.
And then I know how to get out of it, reset, back in power, let's go.
Isn't that amazing how that works?
Once you have the tools, you can get out of anything.
That's been one of the most valuable lessons I've had in my life through my whole spiritual walk. Is it's like you said, walking what you talk about, and living that way. All of a sudden, when you get hit with something, the way you can see it and perceive it and recover from it tells you everything. It tells you exactly where you are in your walk. And it's blown my mind so many times.
Yes.
So I know what you're saying. You're like, I'm like, that was awesome.
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Good for me.
I want a trophy.
But the acknowledgement breeds more of it.
Yeah, it is. And seeing it and recognizing it. I spent 27 years living in smallness. And, something minor, a minor upset or a conflict or something in business. Oh, you didn't get a client or whatever. could derail you for weeks,
Yeah.
mindset wise. But man, once you have mindset tools and emotional tools, mental tools, emotional tools, that recovery can be moments.
Yes.
And a hard recovery could be, days or,
Right.
and we are human. I mean, grief
Well, we have to allow it.
happens.
We have to allow it. That's part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah. So the recovery is back in power, and then you can see again and move again. But, it's, now today, just to finish that story is, 2024 was the year that I brought Girls Rule back. I call it my 2.0. But what was cool was my mindset shift in that was it went from how am I ever going to lift this out? How am I ever going to do that? Oh my God, this is going to be so hard to, oh my gosh, how cool 2.0. What do I want in 2.0? It's kind of like, if anybody has ever gone through a divorce, I think that valley or a really bad business breakup, when you're in that valley and you're like, how can I ever come back from this?
Yeah.
And then you start to see the light and you're like, I'm going to come back stronger. 2.0 marriage, what do I want in that? How am I going to curate that? How is that going to be so much better? Because we see it as a learning, And
we realize we can create what it is we want.
Create.
We can design it ourselves. We can curate it, as you say. Yeah. It's what we build, what we design.
And you know what? There was a lot of things in Girls Rule that were very heavy or very hard or this or that. And I thought, I'm cutting that out and I'm cutting that out and I don't want that person and I don't want that person, and I curated it. And I said 2.0 is coming back how I want it to come back.
Yeah.
And I've done it very slowly.
Yeah.
And purposefully. And
there's a big difference when you do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And our summer camp happened this summer, which is my favorite program, 8 days. I mean, it is so fabulous and powerful. And so I brought our summer camp back and then our after school program back, which is national, and then our annual summit back. And that's, I'm not saying never, 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 but those are the three. I'm like, those are the three. And I'm not putting an expiration date or forever or only for this year. And
it's right now anyway.
Right now, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And it's such a powerful delivery platform for my gifts, my greatness, and my God. But what is really fulfilling, and this is what someone asked me about 6 months ago, why do you love Girls Rule, is when girls come into our programs as teen girls, as they are, and then they leave empowered leaders with tools on their tool belt to lead their life with our 12 leadership principles, and they're empowered, and they got financial, like I wish I had financial literacy tools, how to earn, ask for a promotion, how to spend money, how to budget money.
Right.
I mean, at 16 or 18. Kind of would have changed my life.
Yeah, right.
So I just love they leave just so much more empowered with tools.
And they're knowledgeable. They understand.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that, the transformation and seeing them having those tools. But the second tier of cause work is the people like you who the volunteers and the coaches and the donors and the sponsors and the speakers, like everybody that makes up our camp or makes up our summit, though working with those people is just as satisfying. I don't know, which is a surprise to me. It's been the biggest blessing to, like, the camp coaches have become some of my best friends.
Yeah.
These women donate a week of their life to come in and pour, into girls. And you do that together and you're killing bugs in the woods together.
Whole new level of friendship.
Campfire, it's so fun. But it's just an amazing platform to men and women who have come on the platform, and we've become friends. So that is, and it's fulfilling to them.
Yeah. Because
they're getting called to this work.
Yeah.
And if I can provide a platform for someone to say, oh my God, I've had this calling, but I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you come over here.
Yeah.
Be a coach, be a volunteer, be what, what role do you want?
Yeah.
That is almost as fulfilling as making a difference for
Of
girls.
course, because you're making a difference in other people's lives too.
It's fun.
You're helping them fulfill their calling,
Yeah.
and you have a place for them to be and say, here, I have something for you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it opens up and then who knows where that blossoms into.
Right.
Like you were on the board.
Yeah.
Some person that might be doing this may be like, oh my gosh, this is creating some other calling for me that's bigger to me, create something of my own.
Yeah.
it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah, the ripple effect. We had a woman that was on our board in 2018 and 2019. And her daughter just came to summer camp this year.
Oh.
Like that just gives me chills where it's like, she just saw, she saw us on Facebook, applied to be on our board, was amazing in our board. And then 5-6 years later, now her girl's coming to our summer camp, those. And then we had a girl from our 19 summer camp who now is working for me, and she's an adult and now working, and so it's just when we're in our purpose, when we're in our gifts, when we are cheerleading each other in this kind of work and in our highest selves, you just can't go wrong.
No.
It's just amazing and powerful and beautiful, your own journey and watching other people's journeys. So it's been amazing. And what's great is, the braid between my coaching and training work with adults obviously was like the foundation, the distinctions and the training and everything for Girls Rule. So sometimes our cause work, interlaces with, you just don't know is what I'm saying.
You
just don't know how this braid's going to come together.
Yeah,
so
it is
trust.
Interesting. Exactly. It's funny because trust is actually my word of the year for 2025. And you've said it like 20 times in this podcast. So I'm like, oh, there it is again. So it's funny because that was the word that came and I was like, okay, it's trust because I always pick a word every year.
Yes.
So thank you for that. I have a interesting question because we've talked a lot about women. When you were getting these messages about women saying the same thing over and over, gosh, if I had only, do you think that you heard that more from women because women are more open to acknowledging where maybe their shortcomings are than men? Why do you think that you heard that more from women than men?
I mean, in general, I feel like boys are raised with more grit and leadership and financial prowess than girls do.
Okay, that makes
sense.
sense.
So that's just, and that, I mean, I have not only that's my own feelings, but that's my own research of 25 years and statistics say that.
Yeah.
So, you just look, I mean, most, people use this example of if your 3-year-old daughter is running and tripped and cries, you're going to go over and coddle her, right? Versus if it's a boy, it's like, get up, shake it off. That is the fundamental of parenting between boys and girls. And I learned how that impacted my parenting. A girl is, I was very, very conscious of that.
Right.
And so you look at my 16-year-old girl today, and she is tough, she is gritty, but she's in her feminine, she's a beautiful girl, but I did not coddle. And it's only because I knew these statistics and the differences between parenting girls and boys.
Right.
And from, age 8, I started teaching her financial literacy, chores, how to save her money. At 13, she said, Mom, at 16, I want a new car. And I said, you figure out how much you have to save every month between now and 16. She figured out that number. She saved that number. And on her 16th birthday, she bought herself a car.
Right.
That's
amazing.
Is the difference.
Yeah.
Most parents are not really diving into financial literacy and on small levels. Like she doesn't know how to invest, millions of dollars, but on the smallest level of how to earn, how to save, huge. Just the ability. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
adults that don't know how to save.
I know.
You know, and how to budget. Those three things you can teach an 8-year-old,
Yeah.
a 10-year-old, a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
But our kids, when they go off at 18 and they don't have those, and then on top of that, they have to manage their time and their food and their money, and they don't have the skills, and we wonder why they
Don't survive.
don't survive in the workplace or in college.
Or can't launch.
Yeah, can't. 32% of kids go away to university, fail in their first year, and come home.
Wow.
I'm telling you why. And it's those three things. They don't have enough skill sets in managing their time, their food, their money, overall themselves.
Yeah.
Just, it's a huge skill set to
Yeah,
have.
it is.
Right?
Well, it's funny. My son, the one that graduated this last year, because I have one that's in college and he's doing well, and he's supporting himself and going through college, doing the whole thing, which we're so proud. My 18-year-old who graduated, he's also working. That's his path. He wants to work, and he's saving and making his way. Now taking over some of his bills and getting those skill sets. But one of the classes he took that they offer now in his high school was called financial math, and it was teaching them how to file, how to save for your taxes, how to save, how to basically all the life skills, not like learning how to X plus Y equals Z, whatever. It's not that. I mean,
it's your financial math
yes,
in your life.
It's your life. It's the life skills
Life
around
math.
money, that you need, because in this place that we live, this realm of being human, that's our way of exchange.
Right.
So we have to learn these skills, right, when we're in this existence.
Yeah.
So it's so important. And I think that was, he even said that was by far my favorite class in all of high school, because he learned these skills.
Right? I mean, how empowered does he feel around his life math? I mean, there's so much math in our day-to-day life.
Yes.
That
numbers are everywhere.
And especially if your parents did not, I mean, I was raised by a single mom who was just trying to put food on the table.
Right.
She's not teaching me financial literacy, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was a skill set I had to learn. And then moving at 21, my first apartment was $2,500 in New York, and I had to really look life in its face and go, how do I
do this?
You know, so you
got to be very calculated.
Yeah, and so I feel like in my first 10 years of coaching, there were these leadership skills that are more on the masculine, right? That women and girls just are not taught in general.
I know what you're saying.
And those were that's what it's like. I just heard over and over, man, I wish I had this one or knew how to do this, or just not even conscious of, they're looking for this in my leadership to get that promotion. The unawareness. So there's very specific leadership things and grit things, the get up, do not stand. I remember I was teaching my daughter, she was in club volleyball, and she was the setter, and you have no time, in any sport, you have no time to sulk or cry, on the court. You're in it. If you make a bad move, you're moving. You're moving on. And you could see she wanted 3 or 4 seconds to just have that not crying, but just a moment, right? And so I was teaching
grief.
Her,
she wanted grief,
right? She, did a bad set or whatever. And I could see it. I could see clear 3 or 4 seconds. She wanted it. And I was like, no, you don't have any of that. And 3 seconds in volleyball, I mean, you're losing the game, right? And she just wanted these moments of sadness, right? Or punishment of herself. And those are the moments where it was such a, I could even feel myself in that teaching moment. That is such a male thing of you're not crying over the knee scrape. You're getting up and moving on. And there's some parents that are saying, oh, that was so horrible. Give her that grief moment. But those are the moments, I'm telling you, those are the differences between girls and boys. Boys know how to get up from the scraped knee and keep running in the race, right? Where girls want that moment of crying. And I'm not saying, listen, there's moments. We've got to cry. There's appropriate moments after the game. You know what? Yeah, those are 3 bad, you did that poorly, or you did that move wrong, or whatever. Reflect, know better, do better, right? We're going to learn from our mistakes, and you can cry after. Listen, we can cry after the game, right? But you can't cry on the court. Those are the feminine moments that are really masculine lessons that we're not teaching our girls, where if you get passed over for a promotion, let's say, we're not going to cry in that meeting. We're going to, how can you have grit in that moment, learn, what are they looking for in your leadership that you're not seeing?
Yeah.
It's in your blind spot. How can we learn, know better, do better? Let's get the promotion next time, right? And so there's just those,
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I talk a lot about the balance of masculine and feminine energy within all people. And in this conversation, it's interesting because I've talked about this about myself a lot, as I've lived the majority of my life in my masculine energy, which is exactly what you're talking about, which is overbearing of grit and get up and you can do this and go harder, better.
Yes.
Like with
smallness.
No feminine. Yes. And almost like from a smallness scarcity, like I have to achieve, I'm trying to
push
all the, rather than it just coming to me.
Flow.
Rather than flow and feminine energy, it's more like go and get it.
Yes.
And the harder you work, the more you get, which works great too.
Right.
To a point.
But
I find it interesting too on the flip side of the coin with boys, because I, as you know, raised 4 boys, and I watch the masculine energy within boys, and I feel just like the flip side of the coin with the girls. We want to say, come on, you can do this, you got this. Like now they have these campaigns that say, run like a girl, and they mean it like in a badass way.
Right.
Like, be a girl and own it and be awesome.
Right.
But on the flip side of the coin with the boys, I also feel like because in society over time and history, it's the boys are so responsible and they are the go-getters, and you're going to do this and you're going to be tough and you're not going to cry and you're going to all those things. You got to teach them the other side. You got to say, hey, listen, it's okay to have a moment and feel. It's okay to feel through this. It's okay to express. It's okay to talk. It's okay to have these moments, because if you're busy doing that, you're going to get lost.
Yes.
And so it's going to be a struggle for you. So the balance between feminine and masculine energy with all of us is crucial.
Well, and back to your question of did my male clients, mention that? My male clients mentioned the emotional, mental to what we're talking about, right? So the CEOs, the high achieving leaders and entrepreneurs, males that I coach, what they're missing is the feminine.
Right.
They're often what I see, especially in the entrepreneur, high performing male realm, they are throwing their marriage and their family under the bus for their business. So I see very high divorce rates, and I can't tell you how many men I've gotten call me and say, I'm a week away from getting a divorce. I need help. And I'm like, I wish you called me 3 years ago.
Right. I know.
And what they're missing is what we're saying, right? And it is this, eventually what I see possible is this beautiful dance or marriage of masculine and feminine, for women to have some more masculine and for men to have some more feminine, right? And when these CEOs, all they know is drive and sales and profit, and they have no idea how to nurture a team. They have 40 employees. They don't have staff meetings or acknowledgements.
They lack empathy or any kind of
compassion, team building. I'm like, when's the last time you did something team building? They're like, what?
Yeah.
So those are the skills, they're killing it in revenue, but their team keeps turning over because they don't have those tools on their tool belt of the feminine, the compassion, the empathy, the team building.
Right.
So
balance.
Yeah, they're just as important tools. And so, as a business coach, it's not just always profits and sales and systems, which are the two really big lanes that I coach in. This whole piece of the person, coaching the person and how they're leading, the leadership and the mindset.
Yeah.
The males, I would say 90%, 85% of the males I coach, that's what they're struggling with.
Yeah.
Not only the marriage and the kids at home, never going on vacations, no date
No
nights
self-love.
no self-love, no connection with kids and marriage like that. They're winging it over there. But in the job, they're not doing it with their team at all.
Yeah.
The connection, the engagement, the praise, the team needs, just like
trust and delegation.
Yeah, just like your children need you to love on them and praise them and acknowledge them, a team needs that. They need their leader to say, great job, I see you doing this.
It's a family of sorts.
It is. And that I see that miss a lot of male entrepreneurs and male leaders. They're missing that piece.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of skill sets. And they're like, where have you been the last 10 years or 20 years? Why haven't I had these skills? Why have not? So they're missing those skill sets because here's the thing, they all hang out with each other. So what I find is when I get a client that has a big network of that type of
leadership men.
Yes, and they're all killing it in their business, but they're not failing, but
their lives are not exactly thriving.
Yes, and they turn around their marriage and they turn around their teams. The other men are like, "What the heck are you doing?" And that's what's happening is they're learning skills. It's all leadership and mindset.
Yeah.
But they've just never. It looks different,
right? Again, they didn't have the skills. They didn't understand that was possible.
Yeah,
because
or needed.
Yes, well, in society, it was never expressed that way.
Right.
It was like, no, this is what you do as a man,
and just push your team, overwork them. I mean, if they results, and again, that's where it's too masculine. You need a really great leader. For me, I am all about helping people become great leaders who are building great companies. And that means that they are a company that is steeped in vision and values and purpose and team. And it's a great place to work, including the CEO. I make all my CEOs go on, they have a CEO self-care plan and vacations. They have to have 3 vacations per year or they don't work. If you don't agree to that, I don't coach you.
Well, I love your workshops because one of the workshops that I was participated in with you, you had a calendar and you literally had people write out their vacation time on their calendar for the year because they were planning. It's like, no, this is a requirement. You have to put this in. This is what we're doing because you have to take that time. You have to carve that time because if you don't, it doesn't. I remember when you and I worked. I remember one of the tips you gave me was, okay, on your calendar, I'm like, everything, my calendar runs everything. This was Tammy 1.0. My calendar rules my life, right?
Yes.
And it was like, you said, well, okay, let's do a color-coded calendar then.
Yes.
What color is going to represent your business and things that you do for your business, and what color is going to represent your life and your family and you? And I've never changed that. That's still been a huge staple in my calendar today. But it's those types of little tweaks that you can make that change how you see things and how you operate that can make the difference for you to be all the things in a well-rounded and balanced energy that you came here to be, that feels more fulfilling and it makes you happier and you're just more rounded. Yeah. And grounded.
Right, grounded. And I don't know if you've seen it because I just announced it about a week ago. I'm having my it's called the Greatest Year Ever workshop, and it's my calendar workshop, January 25th.
There you go.
Here in Scottsdale. And it's such a fun workshop because people don't really, if you haven't been through this exercise, you don't really know what to expect. But it is so powerful when you have a year. I give everybody a year-long calendar, and they plan out their 3-day vacations or their three-day weekends and their vacations and their date nights. That's level 1 first.
Yeah.
level is all that.
Go deeper.
Yeah. And then level 2 is what are the events for your business? And then level 3 are all the other conferences or events or travel or whatever. But if we don't work in priority order, and that's what really my stroke came from, a simple thing called I had no priorities. That's at the end of the day, if you can't tell me your priorities like that, then everything's a priority. And that's the person that something's going to give. It's a divorce or a disease or death or something, because we cannot live where everything's a priority. You're going to, first of all, live in chaos. Just that scramble.
Well, nobody can sustain that.
Right? It's unsustainable. It's totally not fun.
Yeah. It's miserable.
Right. But when I look at my online calendar and I don't see the colors, the different, purple is my family time and date nights. Yellow is my revenue generating, like client stuff and business stuff. Red is my self-care. If there's 2 weeks with no red, it's just that
balanced.
visual.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's what was such a
It's
brilliant.
just like boom, boom. Okay, I got my 3 reds
That's
in there.
why I loved that. It was like you see it and you're like, well, something's missing.
Yeah.
Or something's looking a little heavier than should be, maybe.
Yep. So it's good.
Brilliant.
It keeps, when we are prioritized and our calendar really reflects. I love that you said the round, well-rounded, and that's when life becomes so beautiful and interesting.
And fulfilling and fun.
You got friend time and family time and self-care time, and of course the work is in there, but play and vacations are some of my I just had a client before our break here, and he said he just went through my calendar exercise, and he's like 47, 48 years old, and he said, never have I ever planned a year of vacations. Like that thought, that possibility, that thought is never even, it wasn't a thought of like, oh, I can't do that.
He just never thought of it.
That thought has never even come into my head that I
Wow.
could do that. And he said, I have three-day weekends and 2 vacations, and I haven't even come into that for 2025. And he said, and the year hasn't even started. And it just moved him to tears.
Oh,
and he's like,
that's
my
gold.
wife is, and I think a lot of, whether you're the man doing the exercise or the woman, but for you to say, honey, I have 3 weekends and 2 weeks that it's just our family time. I don't know what we're going to do yet. It doesn't matter.
But we're going to figure it out.
We're going to figure it out. But there's something so powerful saying, these are the times we're going to
set aside,
schedule out, we'll figure it out. This is for us. There's something very powerful.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
It's acknowledgement and respect and sharing and time.
Yeah. And play, right? The older I get, the more I just, it's like, I don't want to play all the time. I do enjoy my work and I love my work, but I want play in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best stuff. That's the orange.
Right? Yes.
Okay, Dena, so how can people get in touch with you to engage with you on all the amazing things that you do? I don't know if you're taking on new clients. I know you're particular about how much you take on because you nurture yourself, which is the best part about you. Yes. But what's the best way for people to engage with you with workshops, everything you do?
Really, the easiest place is my website, denapatton.com, DenaPatton.com.
I'll put it in the notes too.
Yeah, my book is there, The Greatness Game. All the information on my work is all on there. My coaching. This new workshop is not on there because I haven't put it on there yet. But my socials, follow me on the socials, and I announce my workshops and stuff like that on there. So DenaPatton.com.
Awesome.
Easy.
Well, I want you to know from me that I absolutely cherish and adore you, and I'm grateful that you're in my life. You have made a big impact on how I see things and my perspective on so many things, and I love that you've been by my side through my journey and my growth and all of it. So thank you. I just love you.
Thank you.
So thank you.
It's been a blessing and an honor to be by your side, to be a cheerleader, to see you. You inspire me so much. So thank you for having me today.
Yes, thank you. It's my pleasure, really. Thank all of you for being here today. If what you heard inspired you in any way, or you feel that somebody could use this message, please, I encourage you to share it. You just never know where someone is in their path, and this could be a very powerful message for them. So please consider that. And if you're listening, you can also tune in on YouTube. These are filmed as well. So if you'd rather watch this, you're welcome to do that on our YouTube channel, Tammy Tuesday. Our social media is at Tammy Tuesday Life, where you'll find all kinds of other information, blogs, and as well as the podcast that you can watch and see. And my energy healing sessions, which I forgot to mention, this woman right here was one of the advocates, aside from my message divinely that I received, but it was all on the same day, which of course was no accident. She said, "What are you waiting for?" And that's what started my energy healing sessions that I now do, and I absolutely love. And I was astounded, just like she said I would be, at the response I got the second I said yes. When the knocking happened and I opened that door. Actually, I really busted it open, and it has not stopped. So to your point earlier, that is one thing that this woman had a lot to do with. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Very, very powerful for me and for others. So thank you. But you can engage on that as well on the website, and always sending you all off with lots and lots of love and light. And remember, life, love, and purpose, it all begins with you. Peace out.